Hello, everyone. I am so fucking stoked for today's conversation because today's conversation is with the Mike Smith. Now, for those of you who don't know, let me just share a little bit of his official bio. Mike is the co-founder of a nonprofit called Rabble Mill that's working to end generational poverty one young person at a time by empowering kids to discover their passion and build their talent through those very things he grew up loving, which is skateboarding, music, and art. Rabble Mill's programs include The Bay, which is a 30,000 square foot warehouse in Lincoln, Nebraska that's home to a skate park, coffee bar, all ages concert venue, and an art collective that does life-changing outreach work for kids and families. And Skate for Change, which is a global network of skaters with around 80 chapters dedicated to empowering youth to use their skateboards to better their communities. Outside all of his nonprofit work, Mike and his friends have launched a career education platform called Find Your Grind that exposes and educates students and teachers to emerging career possibilities. Mike firmly believes that we need to stop asking kids what they want to be and start showing them the possibilities of who they can be. And FYG aims to do just that. So without further ado, here is Mike. Hi,
Hello.
what's up?
Hey, thanks for having me on. I'm hyped to chat with you today. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I'm super stoked. One of the things that really draws me to you is the fact that you are doing all of this in a very different way and in a way that is really creating impact, like impact that we can see and feel and witness. I mean, just by watching some of your videos on Instagram, the crowds of kids that you're speaking to, the misfits, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's this one question that you ask a lot, and it's, what do you want to be remembered for?
Mm-hmm.
What got
Yeah.
you to start asking that kind of a question?
I think because I always talk to a younger demo, like a younger group of kids, and so when high school kids or college kids or young entrepreneurs are thinking about their life, they're thinking about the future, and it's this like, what am I going to be? Where am I going to work? Where am I going to live? Who am I going to marry? What am I going to look like? Kids, they're
Right.
all, you know how it is when you were young. We were all worried
Mm-hmm.
about future us, and then when you get old and you get all these responsibilities, you kind of worry about like current you and like what's going on now and today. And I think when you're a kid, the future is really what drives you. And I think when
Mm-hmm.
you get older, the present drives you. And so I want kids, when they're thinking about their futures, to almost think about it in reverse. Like when you get there, what do you hope they remember about you? And whatever you answer, that's what you should fight for along the way. And so I think asking a kid what they want to be remembered for, more often than not, they're not going to tell you that they had $1 million or that
Mm-hmm.
they moved a little bit farther to the nicer part of town or got a little bit bigger house or had a few more followers. They're typically going to tell you that they wanted to make a difference or they wanted to help somebody or they wanted to do something incredible. And so whatever their answer is, I typically say, well, why don't you fight for that instead of fighting for a title or a job or a resume or
Right.
a bank account number or a number of followers. And so it's fun to get kids to sort of think about their future, but in reverse. And so that's why I
Yeah.
always ask that question.
That's an awesome question. It forces you to reverse engineer sort of the path that you're on, right? And I resonate
Totally.
with that because when I was younger, my dad used to always ask me, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he's very businessman like,
Right.
and I'd always say, I want to help people. And he couldn't understand that. And so, but in my vision, I had the vision of enough money to pay a mortgage. I have a house. I have this. I have that. And here I am. And it's all different.
Right. Right.
But it's like if we teach our kids to reverse engineer in that way, like I love that it causes them to it influences them to focus on the vision of what imprint are you leaving behind, which is totally
Mm-hmm.
different. And I feel like that's applicable to our generation too, not just
For
kids.
sure. Oh yeah, definitely. And I don't think I ever try to talk to like one one group of people because I know when I'm sitting in there talking, what like if I talk at a huge tour stop because we're on this big tour across the country and there's tons of high schools there, I also know
Mhm.
that there's a 45-year-old teacher that wishes she could quit her job and go live in a tiny home with her husband. Like I know that
Right,
that person's in the crowd, or I know there's
right,
a principal who has this like genius idea that could help education, but he's scared to quit his job as a principal to go start his app or start his program or his software. Because teachers tell me all the time, like I have this idea, and I'm like, quit your job and go chase that. Like that's brilliant, and that'll help so many schools, but they're stuck in this like space of I've built this life of comfort or I've built this life of responsibility and they can't quit. And so I'm not just trying to push kids, I'm trying to push everyone to like
yeah,
chase that I always call it like that kind of tiny little whisper that's in your head of the thing you wish you could be. And I just want to push everyone to like run after that. And the reason that I care so much is when you meet someone who loves what they do, it's contagious. Like if you meet a teacher who loves to teach, it makes learning fun. If you meet a skater who loves to skate, it makes skateboarding fun. If you meet anybody who loves to do what they do and they love it and they're passionate about it, it's like contagious for all of us. And so I just want to push people to like have that enjoyment in what they do, because we're all going to be better for it. Because we've all met the other person, like the banker who hates their job, or the lawyer who hates their job, or the cop who hates their job. Like we've all met that person. And so I'm trying to avoid creating those types and trying to help people chase what they care about.
I love that. Especially, I feel like nowadays it's so relevant. It's so relevant because we're all super connected via social media, but that also has created some level of disconnect. Like people are seeking a deeper fulfillment, a deeper sense of fulfillment and meaning in their lives. And there are a lot of people our age that have reached this point. They're like, oh, I got the degree and I'm doing the job and I'm doing the things, but I'm not really that happy. And they want to create something positive in the world, but it's like they don't know where to start.
Well, I think that this is why Find Your Grind to me is such a big deal. Is when we were growing up, it was like you just knew about a handful of opportunities. Like it was my friend's dad did this, or my relative in another state or country did that. And that was all we knew that was possible. Well, today a kid can bust out their phone, go on Instagram and be like, yo, I follow this person and this person and this person. Yeah. But what they don't realize, where I think the disconnect comes, is you're typically following someone who found their grind and is like not a finished product, but is already really successful. And you don't understand the process to get there. So you might follow a couple that lives in a van and is traveling around the world, but you don't know that they saved every penny for 6 years, didn't have internet, didn't have cable, didn't eat out, put everything into this van so that they could have this lifestyle. Most people want that lifestyle. They don't know about the work put in. And so why we created Find Your Grind was I wanted to show kids the lifestyles that were possible. And I think that's what's missing is you and I, when people ask you what you do, it's like the hardest question to answer, because you're like, where do I start? I have all this stuff. But what we would way easier to find ourselves with is a lifestyle. You could call yourself a creative, and people would understand that today. That didn't make sense. Entrepreneur, when we were like kids, meant you were unemployed, trying to find a job or trying to figure something out. And now it's like this sexy buzzword around the world that everybody's trying to be an entrepreneur. And I fit into this like social impact entrepreneur space. I don't even know how to spell entrepreneur. I hate the word. But like I think the problem is we can follow a finished product, but we don't see the path or how to get there. And that's why I created Find Your Grind with my friends, was I wanted to show kids the path. So if you're a girl in the middle of America and you want to be a marine biologist because you went to the ocean one time and now you feel like that's calling your name, most girls in the middle of the country would have no idea how to get there. You want to show them what's possible and what the path is. And so I think it's more about illuminating like the steps that you can take to get there. And the steps used to be perfect grades, perfect college, perfect job, perfect life. That was the process. That wasn't my process. I don't know if that was yours or anybody listening to this, but I think that process failed most of us. And, a lot of our friends are waking up at 35 years old with, relationships that aren't very deep, a job that they would love to not be in. And they kind of get boiled down to like, well, on Tuesday nights, I go hang out with my friends and do this, or I live for the Saturdays to do that. And that's just not the life that I think most of us dreamed about having when we were 15, 16-year-old kids. And so I'm really just trying to push people to chase that lifestyle that they're stoked on. Yeah. And then I just want to show them as much stuff as I possibly can to help them get where they're going. And the way you do that is by filming people who are already there and asking them the questions. Because I don't have all the answers, but I can ask all the questions and then film it and give that to the world. So that's kind of my role in everything. It's like, I don't have the answers, but I'll go find them and then just offer that to whoever needs it.
Yeah. And illuminate the process, which is super powerful. And it also makes it feel more tangible and more real, right? Because now they understand the process behind it. Because I think today it's so easy to see everyone's highlight reels. It's so easy to see what people are choosing to showcase, but we don't know, the 10 years of blood, sweat and tears, or whatever they put into it to get to where they're at, and it's that story behind the outcome that helps illuminate the reality for people to understand what they need to do to follow it. I was one of those people that did the whole, well, I have to get good grades. And then I went to college, and then I hated college and I dropped out. And then I went in trade schools, and I've had like 7 different careers until I finally landed into what it was. But at the end of the day, the difference was impact and fulfillment for me. It was like, what is the impact that I'm creating? Because again, like it all boiled down to me for, I want to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And then how fulfilling does it feel for me? You know? And so that's why,
Right.
you know, whether you want to call it yourself or put the label of the social good entrepreneur, what you're doing is so different. It's like you're blazing your own trail and working with the next generation of leaders, of presidents, of doctors, of marine biologists, of motivational speakers. So talk to me a little bit about impact versus influence.
Yeah, and this is what's tricky about when you get to a certain level where you become kind of a brand. You know, you're a brand, and I'm a brand. And as much as when you build a company, it becomes successful, it becomes a brand.
Right.
And so you know, influence is such a big word that everybody wants to talk about. And I keep getting invited to these like influencer conferences.
Yeah, it's a buzzword.
It's this huge buzzword. But I look at it. I feel a little offended when people call me an influencer because and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. It's not that everybody can influence. We can all have influence, and people can, you know, you can buy followers, and you can be a completely different human on your Instagram than you are in real life. You can be a completely different human on your vlog or your Twitch or your whatever than you are in real life.
Yeah.
But the thing that you can't fake is you can't fake leadership. You can't fake that, because people either follow you for real, like in real life, they believe in you and your mission and what you do. And the best leaders always have influence. Most influencers aren't really leaders. They just have a lot of followers. And it's a big difference to me. And so I think that when you're a leader, you're going to have an impact, and it's your responsibility to try to do something good and meaningful with that impact. And so I would rather push kids to focus on what it takes to develop skills to lead people than it does to get people to follow you. And we see it a lot. Somebody gets a bunch of followers, millions of followers, and they panic and they don't know what to do, and they make mistakes, and they have their compasses off, and what their North Star isn't very pure. And all of us, it doesn't take long before you're posting something on YouTube or Instagram that's, you know, either inappropriate or offensive or whatever. And it's because you weren't really thinking through it from this perspective of, I'm leading a generation of people, or I'm leading a pocket of people, and I want to do that with intentionality and impact. And so I always try to push kids and people to focus on, you know, becoming an incredible leader. Focus on your leadership skills. That takes time. It's not sexy. It's not glamour. It's not Instagrammable. It's not like, yo, check this out. You can't write like, learned an epic leadership lesson today and I failed. No, you don't get to blog about this. Like, this is just that grinding out like who you are thing. And I think that leads to real impact. And I just think it's true in my story, because you keep talking about doing it differently. That's like my number one core value, is that you have to dream different. So many kids today, and young adults and people listening to this, they see people that are successful, and your natural instinct is to copy that path.
Yes.
Like you just want to copy their roadmap. You're like, everyone's doing this, I got to do this. And so
it works for them, so it's going to work for me.
Totally. And if I'm 50% as successful as they are, then I got in the room and I'll figure it out. You know, like that's what most people think. And I've just always believed I want to dream different. Like I really do. And a good example of dreaming different is like 5 years ago, 5 years ago, I launched the Harbor TV. And the Harbor TV it's the most watched show in schools in America today. So they stream it in over 5,000 schools, all 50 states. Millions of kids watch it every week. And when I started this show, everybody told me, well, there's only one place you can go. Everybody said you had to put it on YouTube. And they were like, you got to be on YouTube. And I took a step back and I looked at YouTube, and I saw a hole that was this big, and the whole world was trying to run into it. And I thought, I'm not going to go that path. Like that's not going to be my path, because everybody's there. So I went this other way and found a totally different distribution channel to where I could just get it to stream inside of schools where they don't even allow YouTube. And so I just decided I was going to go straight to the schools, forget YouTube, forget streaming it. And overnight, 5,000 schools is literally millions of kids. That would never have happened on YouTube. And so I had to dream different about the process to get the outcome that I wanted. But I think so many people are trying to copy what they see and emulate what the people that they follow on Instagram do. And to me, that's the quickest way to like set yourself up to fail. So I believe that if we're going to start creating the next generation of leaders and impact driven kids, we've got to challenge them to be courageous enough to do it different. We've got to challenge them to be courageous enough to be unique. We've got to challenge them to be creative enough to not listen to their mom and dad when they say that's not a job, or you can't make money doing this. Or, you know, I just saw a thing with this kid on Twitch TV making $500,000 a month playing video games. Wow. I guarantee you he had 500,000 people telling him when he was a kid, that's not a job. And now they probably all want to work for the kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
totally.
so it's just, I just think that if we're going to start to push people to be impactful, we've got to let them open up a little bit more of who they are as an individual and stop copying. Because the minute you copy, it's not who you are. And I think it loses its impact.
Yeah. And I love that you brought that up, because I mean, again, like even for people our age who, we're the entrepreneurial generation, there's tons of people in their 20s and 30s entering the world as entrepreneurs because we want to carve our own path. We want to create our own success. We don't want to be defined by, a 9-to-5 or these rules and regulations. We get that we can do things differently. Yet.
Hold on, my dog's about to go nuts.
Yeah.
Hey, bud. Go upstairs. You gotta go upstairs. I haven't been home for a while, so he's like super stoked that I'm back. He wants to play. Sorry.
No worries. Yeah. So like people gravitate towards, okay, well, that's working for this person. So if I just take this cookie cutter idea and apply it to what I'm doing, it's going to work. But in doing that, we lose all sense of what makes us unique, as well as being integral to what we value and the imprint that we want to leave behind. Like then we have a generation of cookie cutter leaders that are trying to lead others. It doesn't make any fucking sense to me. It doesn't.
Totally. No, totally.
And it's like,
I think the thing that breaks down is the minute something you didn't expect happens, you don't know what to do. Because
right.
You've copied your way. You haven't paid. Like I always talk about the hard yards. Like you got to put in that time of like, you don't post on your Instagram every sponsor that said they weren't going to back you, every brand that said they weren't going to endorse you,
right.
You were this close to being their choice, but they went with someone with more followers right. or whatever. I mean? Like I have it all the time. I don't post all the grants we don't get for my nonprofits. I don't post all the giant tour dates that only 400 kids showed up to instead of 4,000. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we always like to present this like the best version of ourselves. Mm-hmm. And so if you've copied your whole life, when this really tough thing happens, you don't even know what to do because you've never experienced like your first failure when there's no one to talk to. When I opened up my first skate park, no one had ever done what I did. I opened up this indoor skate park in a mall that was a nonprofit, and there was no one in the world that had ever done this one thing that I had done. Right. So I couldn't pick the phone up and be like, hey, I totally copied your idea, and now I'm at this spot. When you were here, what did you do? And I just had to look around and be like, I just got to figure it out. Like I got to figure out how to survive and make this work and keep grinding and driving through. And when you dream different, you're going to have so many of those moments where you're like, I don't even know who to call because no one's been here before. Mm-hmm. But that's what makes you a leader, and that's what I think kind of like sharpens your skills as a not just a leader, but like as a human. And I think the impact is felt in when you really struggle through something and you figure out the best way to do it. I think people see that and they feel that, and I think that they're drawn to it. I think that's at least been my experience, is that people love that it hasn't always been easy for me and for what we've created, but I think they're drawn to the fact that we kept going, and now we're creating some things that are like honestly really incredible, but it's because we struggled. Right. So we did that because we dreamed different, and that's why we had to struggle through it.
Yeah. And that takes so much courage and so much persistence and so much resilience. That this is something I call CPR, courage, persistence, resilience.
Oh, nice.
But it takes so much of that. And, I was one of those people that did all the cookie cutter things because I was like, this is going to work. This is going to get me to where I want to be. And it did, but it wasn't what I wanted. I didn't want that. I wanted the deeper meaning, the fulfillment, the things that felt more aligned with my own personal legacy. Right. And I feel like for you, like what you've been saying about creating this new generation of leaders and leading them, like we as leaders have to do our due diligence and own our responsibility for showing up as that leader for them. And they deserve better than cookie cutter bullshit.
Totally. Oh, no question. I think look at the kids in Florida, like this school in Florida, and like they're the ones leading the charge now. They're the kids with millions of followers, and they're on talk shows and talking about how to they're the ones going at senators in front of people on national TV, asking tough questions. And I think kids are hungry for it. And I think this generation, I think there's going to be this weird shift of kids who grew up with social media, so it's not special. To us, it was special. We watched it evolve. We went from like our top 8 friends in MySpace and the drama of having to move someone in to move someone out. Like we went through like that world to where they don't know life without it. Yeah. And I think that because they don't know life without it, it's not going to be this like, oh my God, it's the biggest deal in the world thing. I think it's just kind of a part of their thing. And I hope that they're going to be able to like, I feel that they're going to be able to put down sort of just like the pressures of social media and really start to cut into things that they care about. Because
Mm-hmm.
when you and I were kids, the only way we even found out about global issues was our
Right.
parents, the news, and our teachers, or a
Exactly.
newspaper. That was it.
Right.
There was no trend breaking news on your phone. Like none of
No.
that existed. And these kids are in it every day, and they can respond, interact,
Mm-hmm.
and organize. These kids organize thousands of schools, walking out,
Mm-hmm.
for the 17 minutes. Like those were kids. Like kids did that, and I think that
Mm-hmm.
that's we did. I didn't do that. I was in high school when Columbine happened, and I just went to school the next day because I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know you
Right.
could do anything else. And so I think that these kids they're gonna surprise us, and they're gonna do some incredible things. I've met kids who have more grit and courage and better ideas than a lot of the adults that I spend time with. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's encouraging and exciting at the same time. And I know that kids always get a bad rap. I think kids in every generation are going to get a bad rap.
Mm-hmm.
That's what being a kid is all about, is having the
Right.
older generation tell you that you're doing it wrong. But I
Mm-hmm.
think that this next batch coming up has something really special in store. And I think it's going to be pretty special. And I'm stoked that I get to be a part of like stirring the pot and pushing them to like be great and do more. And so if I'm even involved in some of their success or just pushing them to really chase what they love, like that gets me excited.
Yeah, that is exciting because it shows that the global landscape is changing, right? The
Mm-hmm.
next generation is completely shifting the way that we've been showing up and, in fact, inspiring us. Like, look at how many people have been inspired, adults have been inspired by the actions of kids in with their reactions to the shootings and what they're doing and what they're organizing and how they're choosing to show up to
Mm-hmm.
speak up for their rights and what they believe is right. It's inspiring as an adult to see that. And like you said, I was in high school when Columbine happened. Like so much happened in the world when we were growing up, but it was so different.
Mm-hmm.
There was the lack of social media, that lack of like really knowing in the moment when things are happening. And I feel like with this new generation, they have a heightened sense of compassion and empathy and this heightened need to do good, to create an impact, which is amazing to see. But then again, for us as their leaders, it is such a big responsibility to show up fully for them in the fullest capacity that we can do, which means modeling what we're teaching. And I think for us, because we straddled that generation of we had social media, we didn't have social media, now we have social media. I feel like or a lot of people in our generation fall into that comparisonitis. They fall into the
Right.
likes. Like, I just want to get the likes. I just want to be Insta famous. I just want to do this. And you lose sight of the impact and what it is that you're here to do. And that's not what makes a true leader. You know what I
Totally.
mean?
No, that's the difference between like impact and influence.
Right.
Like I'm not fishing for followers when I show up to a school, or I'm not
Mm-hmm.
fishing for followers when I post a video or recap or whatever. Like I'm not
Right.
trying to get followers. I'm trying to show people what's possible and show people that like if this simple dude from Nebraska who graduated high school with a C GPA and didn't graduate college, like if I'm
Mm-hmm.
capable of starting nonprofits and building companies, then there's no excuse for any of you. Like everybody can go do incredible things because there's nothing extraordinary about me. Like I always
Mm-hmm.
make the joke, like I'm the most average human, like literally from like my my grades to my height to my name is Mike
Right.
Smith, for God's sake.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's
Yeah.
literally there's
Right there.
40,000. Yeah, exactly. Like there are 40,000 Mike Smiths in America. And so I'm the most average person of all time. So if I
Mm-hmm.
can create things, everybody can create things. And I think that I hope kids find, because a lot of people come in and talk to kids and it's like, I landed a plane in a river or I survived this
Right.
crazy thing. And I'm just like, I did nothing like that. Like I'm just average and regular. But let me tell you how I did these things even as a
Yeah.
regular person. And most of us are just regular people. Most of us aren't the best at anything. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
a lot of us let not being the best stop us from really trying to go for it. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
what I'm really trying to inspire people to realize is like, you don't have to be the best at anything. You just have to go
Mm-hmm.
for it. And like
Yeah.
sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but it's the process where you really kind of discover like who you are and what you care about.
Right. And it's through that process of discovery that we become better,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like even
Totally.
it's the strive for perfection, the strive to be the best. Why not just strive to find the things that really light you up
Yeah.
and find the missions that you really want to pursue or create or cultivate and leave behind the legacy and impact that you want to leave behind. And in the process
Totally.
of all that, just have a good fucking time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the thing is I think people don't realize like it's fun. Like it's so much
Mhm.
more fun when you're chasing the things that you care about. Like kids tell me every day, and adults, and I'm speaking at this thing in Canada in a couple of days, and it's all like young entrepreneurs, and they all say, they're like, how do you do it? Like, what's the
Right.
magic thing? And I'm like, take what you love, like whatever that is, and figure out like how to create something in and around that space. Because entrepreneurship to me is finding a problem you're cool solving for the rest of your life. So I've got this I have this warehouse here in Lincoln, Nebraska. It's 33,000 square feet, the bay. It's like you said it at the start, skate park, coffee shop, concert venue. It's all these things. Those are the things I love, like skateboarding,
Right.
music, and art. I'm not the best skateboarder. I'm not the best musician. I'm not the best artist. I love those things though. So instead of trying to be the best at something, which I'm not, I wanted to create this space where anybody could go and create. Somebody could become the best. So I just created this space for it. But these are problems and lifestyles and like communities that I love and things that I'm super passionate about. If it would have been architecture or construction or other things, like I'm not overly like passionate about biology or nursing, and those things are important. Doctors are important, nurses are important, architects are important. I'm not wired that way. I've got this other thing that I get stoked on. And so I just hopped into this industry and was like, I'm never going to leave. I'm just going to keep creating really cool things in this space and see what it can grow to. But you gotta start with like the things you're interested in. And then kids and adults tell me all the time, it breaks my heart when adults say it because they've been on the planet a little bit longer. But when someone's like, well, I don't know what I'm passionate about. And I'm like, then I can always tell, I say this to everybody, I'm like, you want to know how you don't find your passion? By hanging out with the same people every weekend, doing the same thing with your face buried in your phone, watching other people live their life. Like put your phone down, make a bucket list of 20 things that you've never done that you want to try, chip away at it. And along the way, you'll either figure out what you hate or you'll find some stuff that you love. But most people who are passionless, like if you're watching this or listening this today and you're one of the, I don't know what I love people, change up your routine, change up who you hang out with, watch different movies, watch different documentaries, delete all your apps and go volunteer or travel or save your money and go to another country. Like sell your house and start over. Like if you don't know what you're passionate about, like what are you even doing? Like why are you wasting so much time just going through the mundane deal? And so I think it's way more about like scaring yourself and putting yourself in a position to figure out what you love and what you hate. And once you do that, you start to chip away at the things that you get really stoked on. And like that's what I try to inspire kids to do, is like get out there and get weird, like get out there and get crazy and figure it out and like discover who you are and what makes you what you are and what makes you what you're not too. Like a lot of kids need to do things they hate so then they can start to discover what they love. I think it's
exactly
important.
Yeah, and a lot of people are afraid of that. Well, what if I fail, or what if I hate this? Cool, cross that off your list. You've just figured something out. Awesome. Like
totally, for sure. It didn't take me long to realize I hated math. Like I dialed that like right away, and I was like, all right, I'm not going here. And I just had to keep chipping away at it.
Yeah. Oh my God, I failed math 12, but that's another story.
Oh, I don't even. I don't even want to. I like sometimes I'll be at like a college or at a high school and I'll see like math on the board. And I'm like, I know like sophomores, and I'm like, I can't even drive yet, and you know what that means? Like, how's that even possible? Like it's so weird.
Yeah. Well, Mike, we are nearing the end of this episode. And at the end of every episode, I offer a love punch, which is like a punchy affirmation. So today it's your turn to offer a love punch to our listeners, to our watchers. So what is your love punch for today?
I think my love punch would be, let me think. I want to make this an uppercut, not just like a jab. I want this to be like the real deal. I think no matter where you're at, like listening to this or watching this, it's 100% not too late. Like it's not too late for you to start over. It's not too late for you to change. It's not too late for you to go for it. And so whatever that scary thing is in your head telling you that you can't, like punch that out and replace it with yourself and the things you're stoked about and passionate about. And like, I want whoever's listening to this to quit, start over, chase something, ask that girl out, ask that boy out, tell your boss to like, you quit.
Right.
My dog's talking to me. You trying to give a love punch too? He's telling me to quit talking to me outside. But I think, find what you love. And whoever's listening to this, I hope you can like really find a little bit of courage to chase after what you care about. That's my love punch for today.
Love that. Powerful. It's not too late, guys. Go after what you fucking want. Mike, it has been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you. You too.
You are highly inspirational, and I feel like a lot of people in our generation can learn a thing or two from you about leadership and how to show up. So I appreciate you taking the time to be here today. To our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of Love Punch, where I'm challenging thought leaders, influencers, and entrepreneurs to make a lasting impact. If you love this episode, share it, hit subscribe, drop a review, and feel free to connect with us online. Mike, why don't you tell our viewers and listeners how they can stalk you online?
You can type in Mike Smith, which everyone can spell that, and then it's Mike Smith Live. You can find me at Mike Smith Live on anything.
Awesome. So go follow Mike, see what he's up to in the world, and connect with me online at I Am Ruby. And I will be back next week with a brand new episode of Love Punch.